Well, let's get reaction now on Job Mokgoro's resignation, even though he has yet to hand in that letter of resignation to the Speaker of the Northwest Legislature. We're joined now by Professor Andre Duvenage from the Northwest University. Prof, a very good morning to you. Job Mokgoro stating very clearly that he refused to be forced out in haste, and he's made no secret of it, that he clearly did not have a good working relationship with the interim provincial committee leadership in the Northwest. Is this finally the closure of chapter for him?
Phase of the process, and it is quite correct. He had a long history in terms of the Northwest province, where amongst others he functioned as the DG of the province, so we know the province very well. But clearly when it came to the political level, it is extremely difficult in Northwest. For more than a year now, they couldn't elect a provincial executive committee, and as a result of that, there's only an interim provincial committee. So as Premier, you are acting to a committee that is not elected. Secondly, it is also important to say that the whole province is under administration, and as Premier, he needs to report specifically with regard to finances to the administrator. And this is an extremely difficult position. And then we must also take into consideration that the majority of the 22 municipalities in the province is in crisis, and at the moment, as you probably know, there's a lot of conflict about the lists that is prepared for the election for later this year or early next year.
Yeah, Prof, you talk about Job Mokgoro's almost track record, if you like. Let's talk about that track record when he was installed into this position of Premier back in 2018. He, during this speech in the morning, he almost recounted what I would see as his successes, if you like. He says that some clinics, or many clinics in the Northwest, now operating 24 hours a day, serving the communities. He talks about various departments that are now obtaining unqualified audit reports. How good a job has he done, or how bad a job has he done since being installed in that office?
Well, looking at the bigger picture, and we cannot keep one individual responsible for the situation in the province, but I am afraid the legacy is probably not that good. If we look at the Northwest at large, we are talking about a failed province, as I mentioned, in many ways. And his job was, in fact, to turn it around. Now, I think he can show a number of successes, but my assessment is that his biggest challenge was to get the cooperation of the political environment, and that was the main difficulty. There was a lot of conflict between him and the interim provincial committee, specifically Chauki. And as a result of that, and you can also read in the faction battles within that context, make it nearly impossible for him to authoritatively allocate values and scarce resources within society. In short, his power base was so undermined that he couldn't operate effectively and efficiently. In that sense, I have a lot of respect for outgoing Premier Job Mokgoro, and I must say, and he's now part of a majority, the majority of premiers in the Northwest didn't complete their terms. Since 1994, only 2 premiers completed their terms. The one was Edna Molewa, and the other one, Popo Molefe. All the others completed within their term time frame. And that's an indication of a province that is extremely unstable. And I must tell you, I think Premier Bushi Mape is going to find it difficult to get the forces under control, because I have already seen some video clips where Supra, amongst others, is mobilizing against him. It will, however, direction Job Mokgoro will go. Is he going to leave politics, or is he going to fight back some way or another?
Prof, it's difficult almost not to empathize with the outgoing premier, because, as you put it, there clearly was a difficult relationship between himself and the interim provincial structure of the ANC in that province. In fact, there is talk that he was refusing to take instructions from the IPC, and that leads to the question, how much influence or how much interference should there be from the party to its deployee in government? Did the IPC overplay its hand? In whose interest?
Well, I think you are summarizing a very big problem, and that is that there's no clear differentiation between structures of the state and party control. And in a sense, we have these two centers of power. Making it even more problematic is the fact that the party structure is not elected, because there was no proper elections within the structures as a result of the chaos and anarchy within the ANC in this province. So as a result of that, it is extremely problematic. And we must also say that there is vested interest in terms of, let's say, decisions taken. The whole state capture context, in a way, is applicable here. And Mr. Mokgoro, in a way, acted as an outsider. He didn't have the power base within the party structure, and he was undermined from that. In a strong constitutional way, I think this is unconstitutional for the party to act the way it is acting, but that is the practice throughout South Africa in at least the 8 provinces where the ANC is dominant, and this has to do with their political ideology, where the party is more important than the structures of the state.
Final question to you, Prof, and perhaps it is a crucial one. Job Mokgoro making mention that he was refusing totally to be pushed out of office in haste, and making it very clear that he was going to speak to the president first before perhaps taking any major decisions such as resigning. He's now had that conversation with the president. How should the president be viewed in this instance? Because perhaps one could view it as, did he seek an audience with the president in order to try and see whether he would get favor from the president, who will say to him, don't go anywhere, sit still and do what you have been doing? The president agreeing, in effect, that Job Mokgoro should tender his resignation. What should we read into that?
Yes, I think the picture behind the scenes is not 100% clear, and I will tell you why. It is absolutely true that Job Mokgoro didn't take all the decisions from the IPC. We have seen that with regard to the choice of the chair of chair. Mokgoro in person didn't support the #1 candidate in the Northwest for the position of chair, but he voted with opposition parties for the second candidate. And this was seen as a form of undermining the ANC. That's the one point. The second point that is important, there were rumors going around, and I couldn't establish the truth of it, that Mr. Job Mokgoro was aligning with old Premier Supra Mahumapelo, and this was communicated to the ANC and maybe to President Ramaphosa himself. And according to some sources, had an impact on the decision. Now, I had a conversation with Premier Mokgoro a few weeks back, and he clearly stated that there's no relation whatsoever. His job was only to get rid of within the province. And then maybe we can also say that Premier Mokgoro, as an academic, was a person that is not familiar with the inner workings of the experience, an element of conflict. Because 2 years back, he was the choice of Cyril Ramaphosa, and now it's clear that Cyril Ramaphosa made a new choice in Bushimabe. Bushimabe is very close to President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Interesting times indeed as we edge closer to December 2022. That's the elective conference of the ANC at national level. Thank you very much for your thoughts and insights, Professor Andre Duvenage with the University of the Northwest Province.